Welcome to episode 356 of the 2-Minute Warning. Today, me and Wade are going over whether or not Tom Brady and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers can win back-to-back, repeat their Super Bowl run. And before we get into that topic, though, question of the day, of course, who is the all-time leading receiver for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in yards, of course? Stay to the end to find out the answer. But if you do know it, comment it below. And if you're the first to comment, we will pin your answer in the comments. Getting into this topic, though, Wade, do you think they could repeat, go back-to-back, and Tom Brady continue his GOAT legacy and get an 8th ring?
It's going to be tough, especially with the amount of people they're going to have to re-sign. I think that they don't have to re-sign all of them. A lot of people's contracts end this year. I think some of them, for example, I think they could release Godwin if they re-sign AB, Gronk.
Leonard
Is Evans
Mike
done?
Evans is on contract.
Okay. I say they re-sign Lenny. I think he was a great asset. We saw how playoff Lenny was amazing. I think he earned a job next year. And Brady obviously is on his contract. I never want to bet against Tom Brady because anybody who does typically loses. But I think that the conference that they're in this year definitely got a little bit weaker with losing Drew Brees. Matt Stafford left the Lions, which never was really a problem. But
Yeah.
I don't see many people.
Matt Stafford leaving the Lions actually creates a problem with him going to the Rams.
I don't see many teams that are a huge threat to them. The four main, I think, are the Rams, 49ers, if they're healthy, the Seahawks, obviously, if Russell Wilson can play like he did in the beginning of the year, and the Packers with Aaron Rodgers. But we saw Tom Brady beat all of them this year. It's going to be a completely different season next year, though, but I have complete faith in him.
Yeah, the one thing they do have is definitely the benefit of their schedule. This year, we saw them have one of the toughest roads to the Super Bowl, playing all on the road, losing the division, having a decently rough schedule, not the hardest, but next year I think it's even easier. Like Wade said, no Drew Brees, and then Carolina and Atlanta are both in rebuild mode, so I don't want to say it's a lock, but I am very confident the Bucs will win the division next year, therefore granting them some kind of playoff game at home in Tampa. And then their schedule alone, they play, of course, those 3 teams in their division a total of 6 times. Then they also play the NFC East between the Giants, Eagles, Cowboys, and Washington. Wouldn't be surprised if they go anywhere from 3-1 to 4-0 facing those 4 opponents. And they also face in the AFC East between Belichick and the Patriots. That'll be a cool rematch or kind of rivalry to see what happens. And then, of course, the Jets, Miami Dolphins, and the Buffalo Bills.
I think the NFC East is going to be a lot better next year, which is not saying much considering how bad they were this year. But you get a healthy Dak Prescott. I think the Cowboys look much better, and Washington football team ended this season on a very positive note. I think those are teams that may upset him. I mean, we saw him lose to the Bears this year, so he's not undefeatable. And I think that both those teams have a very good chance of beating them. I would not be surprised if he ended up going 2-2 or 3-1 in the NFC East because of they're building a good program there. But you mentioned the AFC East. The Bills and Miami are going to be 2 tough games out of there, but the Jets and Patriots, I think, are pretty easy wins, in my opinion. I don't want to say locks, but very easy games for them to win. And then it really comes down to, can Tom Brady keep up the level of play he is even at the age of 44?
Yeah.
I think that no other quarterback has done this. We're in an unprecedented area. I think that there could be a cliff eventually, but I don't want to say that because Max Kellerman said that, and we saw what happened to him. So I want to say there should be a cliff coming sometime soon, whether that's this year, whether that's next year, the year after, or 3 years from now, who knows. But eventually Tom Brady is going to start declining, so we're going to have to see when that is to judge how their team's going to be for the next few years.
Yeah, one of the biggest problems they're facing in this potential back-to-back win in the Super Bowl is the fact that it just really doesn't happen in the NFL. In the NBA, we see 3-peats in the NBA. Major League Baseball, not really typical as well. But in the NFL, it's very hard to see. Tom Brady in his 7 rings has only gone back-to-back twice. He stopped Seattle from going back-to-back. He stopped the Chiefs from going back-to-back. So, yes, that is kind of a different factor when you're comparing other teams going back-to-back when it's the guy that beat them that ruined it. So that is a factor to consider. But in the NFL, it's just very rare to see teams win back-to-back, and I just don't see it falling in their lap. I'm a huge Bucs fan, and I'm hoping they do pull it off, but it's just hard in the NFL to pull off back-to-back, especially with the cap space situation they have. Losing their contracts and becoming free agents, such as one of their captains on defense, Levante David, Shaq Barrett, Ndamukong Suh, Rob Gronkowski, Antonio Brown, Chris Godwin, Leonard Fournette. The list goes on and on and on. and they're not made of money. They do have a little bit of cap space to work with. Mike Evans has announced that he's willing to renegotiate his contract to give the team more money to put everything together. So I hope they can figure it out, and I think they have a great chance to, but I do think they have to at least cut one or two guys to bring this team back. They've all raised their price tags with how well they've been performing in the postseason, and of course with their Super Bowl win.
Yeah, I am giving them a lot of praise right now for next year, but I don't want to think I'm just a huge Bucs fanatic I'm biased. I do think this is going to be very difficult. I think that if they are going to win another Super Bowl, I think it's going to have to be next year, just because Brady doesn't have too much time left. But like you said, if they can manage a cap space correctly, I think they do have a shot. However unlikely it is, they're going to have to play the Chiefs again. In my opinion, they will likely have to play the Chiefs again in the Super Bowl, and I don't see them losing to the same team again.
Yeah, I mean, to me, pending that they keep the same team, I seriously think they will make another Super Bowl run. Green Bay Packers are obviously a threat. Rams are a threat. Seattle's a threat. The Niners are a threat. Of course, anything can happen, but I do think on paper this is the best team. And really, they just finally got their team chemistry together in this postseason. I'd love to see what they could do over an entire season of being able to play together, knowing how each other plays, and think the potential's there, and I think they're better than the Packers and any other team in the NFC.
I forgot what I was watching some interview the other day. This is a very talented football team, and I think Brady added the winning culture, and I agree with that statement very heavily because we saw how well they performed with Jameis, and if he had just thrown several less picks, then I think they could have been a very talented team. I think Brady just brought the winning culture there, and they're ready to win. So I think they do have a shot, however unlikely.
Yeah, my final consensus, I think pending they have the same team, same roster, I think they get a division win and definitely make a great shot at another Super Bowl run and a minimum get 1 to 2 playoff wins in my opinion.
I agree.
All right, for the question of the day, the all-time leading receiver for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers is the current receiver right now, Mike Evans. So as he continues to play there, the record just keeps on growing for the Buccaneers and the receiving record. Congrats to the Buccaneers on the Super Bowl. Thanks for watching, guys. 2 minutes.